For 15 years, it watched the horizon of another world, a horizon painted in rust and dust, beneath skies tinted by thin sunlight and cold silence. It was never meant to last that long. When NASA's Opportunity rover touched down on Mars in January 2004, it carried a mission designed to last 90 Martian days. Instead, it survived over 5,000. And in that time, it rewrote everything we thought we knew about the Red Planet. Scene 2. Born to Explore. Opportunity was one of two identical rovers, the other named Spirit. Together, they were designed to search for clues of ancient water, to answer a question as old as space exploration itself. Was Mars ever alive? Built by NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory, each rover was about the size of a golf cart, weighing 185 kilograms with 6 wheels built for climbing over rock and sand. They were the successors of the small Sojourner rover, which had rolled briefly across Mars in 1997. But Opportunity and Spirit were far more capable, built to travel kilometers, not meters. Scene 3. Landing on Mars. On January 25, 2004, Opportunity entered the Martian atmosphere at over 12,000 miles per hour. Encased in a protective shell, it plunged through thin air, its heat shield glowing from friction. At just the right moment, a parachute deployed. Then, airbags inflated, and the spacecraft bounced across the Martian surface like a rubber ball, coming to rest inside a small crater near the planet's equator. It was a perfect landing. Opportunity opened its eyes, its twin panoramic cameras, and sent home its first images, a field of fine red dust, scattered pebbles, and layered rock. Those layers would change history. Scene 4. Signs of water. Within days, Opportunity's instruments discovered hematite, a mineral that usually forms in water. This was the first direct evidence that liquid water had once existed on the Martian surface. The layered rocks it examined told a story of ancient seas and evaporating lakes, proof that Mars was not always the cold, dry desert we see today. It was a discovery that rippled through planetary science. For the first time, we could say with confidence, Mars had once been habitable. Scene 5. A rover that wouldn't quit. Opportunity began to move, slowly at first, testing its systems, then confidently across dunes and rocky plains. Every Martian sunrise charged its solar panels, feeding power to its motors and instruments. Each night it endured freezing temperatures that would have shattered less durable machines. It traveled farther than any other robot in the history of space exploration, over 45 kilometers across the Meridiani Planum region. NASA engineers often joked that Opportunity had outlived its warranty by decades. But it wasn't luck. It was the product of precision engineering and the care of the teams that guided it each day from millions of kilometers away. Scene 6. Storms and shadows. Mars is a world of extremes. Temperatures swing from 20 degrees Celsius in daylight to minus 100 degrees Celsius at night. And dust storms, vast planet-wide storms, can darken the sky for weeks at a time. Opportunity survived many of them. Each time the dust settled, sunlight returned to its solar panels and its batteries reawakened. But every storm left scars. Dust clung to its instruments. Its joints stiffened. Its memory chips degraded from radiation. Still, Opportunity kept going. By 2018, it had been exploring Mars for more than 14 years. It had outlived its twin, Spirit, which had fallen silent 8 years earlier. Opportunity was alone now, a single machine still rolling across the quiet plains of Mars. Scene 8. Perseverance and solitude. Opportunity's final mission took it to a place called Perseverance Valley on the rim of Endeavour Crater, a 22-kilometer-wide basin that stretched across the Martian horizon. It was an appropriate name. The rover had climbed hills, crossed dunes, and endured storms. Now it was exploring one last valley, a channel carved long ago, possibly by flowing water. The images it sent back were hauntingly beautiful. Rocks shaped by erosion, fine dust patterns sculpted by the wind, and beyond it all, a horizon bathed in faint orange light. It was as though Opportunity was looking toward the sunset of its own mission. For nearly a generation, a machine built on Earth had become part of another world. Scene 9. The storm that never cleared. In June 2018, a massive dust storm began to rise on Mars. It spread quickly, growing into one of the largest storms ever recorded, a blanket of dust that covered the entire planet. From orbit, Mars turned dark. The storm blocked sunlight across nearly every region. For a solar-powered rover like Opportunity, it was a death sentence. Engineers at NASA received one final signal on June 10, 2018, a simple transmission reporting low power and dark skies. After that, silence. For months, NASA listened. They sent over 1,000 recovery commands, hoping the storm would clear and the rover would wake again. But no signal ever came. In February 2019, after 15 years of exploration, NASA declared the mission complete. Opportunity was gone.
For nearly 15 years, Opportunity defied the odds. It crossed craters, outlived dust storms, and became one of NASA's most successful missions. But in 2018, a global storm ended its long journey. Its final signal was a faint whisper of power and dust. Before that silence, however, Opportunity sent home a series of images that would become its farewell. Scene 1. A sky that darkened. In the weeks before the storm reached its peak, Opportunity's cameras recorded the sky growing darker each day. Engineers watched as the sunlight it received dropped from over 700 watts per square meter to barely 22, less than what a single dim lamp would give. To conserve power, the rover entered sleep mode, shutting down nearly everything except its internal clock. But even in those final days, Opportunity continued to observe, capturing what might be the last clear view of its surroundings. Scene 2. The Valley of Dust. Those last images came from Perseverance Valley on the western rim of Endeavour Crater. It was a place shaped by erosion, a gentle slope carved into the crater's edge, filled with fine sand and scattered stones. The panoramic cameras captured a world slowly disappearing behind a veil of dust. The ground, once sharp and detailed, became muted and red, as though Mars itself were fading from view. NASA later stitched these photographs together into a mosaic, a sweeping panorama of Opportunity's final resting place. It wasn't just a landscape, it was a memory. Narrator, softly, a machine built to see, was now watching its own horizon disappear. Scene 3. The last full panorama. The final complete panorama Opportunity sent was a series of 354 images taken between May and June of 2018. Each frame was captured through multiple filters, combining infrared and visible light. Together, they revealed the subtle tones of the Martian soil: brown, gray, and red, and distant ridges lit faintly through the dust. In the foreground, the rover's own tracks curved across the sand, the imprint of a journey that had lasted half a lifetime. It was both a scientific record and a monument. Even the rover's shadow was visible, stretched across the ground like a final signature. Scene 4. The last image ever sent. On June 10, 2018, as the storm engulfed the planet, Opportunity captured what would become its final photograph. It showed a featureless, dimly lit expanse, a world swallowed by darkness. There was no horizon, no rocks, no sky, only static, dust, and silence. Some called it haunting, others called it beautiful. For the engineers who had worked with Opportunity for 15 years, it was something else entirely. A goodbye they had never wanted to see. Scene 5. The message that broke the silence. When NASA's final contact came through, the rover's data included one simple line of telemetry: "My battery is low, and it's getting dark." The phrase spread quickly online, a poetic summary of the moment, though not literally sent by the rover itself. Still, it captured the truth of what had happened. Opportunity had fallen asleep beneath a darkening sky and never awoke again. It became, as one engineer described it, a monument to human curiosity, frozen in time. Scene 6. The team that listened. At NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory in California, the team that had operated Opportunity for years refused to give up. They called the recovery effort Wake Up Opportunity. For 8 months, they transmitted over 1,000 commands, hoping a ray of sunlight might reach its panels. Each day, the radio antennas at the Deep Space Network listened. Each day, silence answered back. In February 2019, NASA sent one final command, accompanied by a song. It was "I'll Be Seeing You," a jazz standard from the 1930s, a song about memory and distance. As it played in mission control, engineers watched the monitors one last time. No signal came. The room fell silent. The mission was over, but Opportunity's legacy was only beginning. Scene 7. What it saw. In its 15 years on Mars, Opportunity had captured over 217,000 images, traveled 45 kilometers, and explored more than a dozen craters. It discovered minerals that could only have formed in water, and photographed rock layers that recorded the planet's deep history. It proved that Mars was once a place where rivers may have flowed and lakes once stood. It sent home the kind of data that scientists still study to this day. But perhaps most profoundly, it gave the world a new image of Mars, not as a dead planet, but as a landscape that once might have been alive. Scene 8. The human side. For the people who built it, Opportunity was more than a machine. It was a companion, a voice from another world that checked in every morning, shared its discoveries, and faced danger with quiet persistence. Some of the engineers who had worked on it spent their entire careers watching over that single rover. When it fell silent, many described it like losing a friend. Because, in a way, it had become one. Opportunity taught us that endurance isn't just mechanical. It's human. It's what happens when curiosity meets courage and refuses to stop.
Opportunity's journey ended beneath a dark Martian sky. After 15 years of discovery, it fell silent, a small rover lost to dust and time. But its story did not end there, because what it found and what it proved would reshape humanity's vision of Mars forever. When Opportunity first landed in 2004, Mars was believed to be a frozen desert, a relic of a past that never held water. By the end of its mission, that view had completely changed. The rover's instruments detected sulfates, hematite, and clays, minerals that only form in the presence of liquid water. Its cameras revealed sedimentary rock layers, proof of ancient lakes and flowing rivers. These were not random discoveries. They were evidence of a planet that had once been dynamic, geologically active, and possibly habitable. Opportunity didn't find life on Mars, but it showed that life could have existed there. Before Opportunity, our understanding of Mars came mostly from orbiters, distant eyes looking down from above. The rover changed that. It brought us closer. It let us see the texture of Martian soil, the shape of pebbles shaped by water, and the complexity of rock formations carved by wind and time. Every new discovery led to new questions. If water once flowed here, where did it go? If Mars lost its atmosphere, why and when? Opportunity's data provided the foundation for nearly every Mars mission that followed. Opportunity's endurance was not just a scientific triumph, it was an engineering one. Its systems, built for a 90-day mission, lasted more than 5,000 sols, surviving freezing nights, violent storms, and years of wear and tear. Its wheels eroded, its joints stiffened, its flash memory degraded, and yet it kept going. This was the result of 1,000 small decisions, made by engineers who treated every command as if the rover's life depended on it. Often it did. Scene 4. The Spirit of Exploration. When Opportunity finally went silent, it joined a long line of explorers, machines that had gone farther than their makers ever could. Spirit, curiosity, perseverance, each one carrying the lessons of the ones before it. The engineers who built Perseverance, which landed on Mars in 2021, still speak of Opportunity with reverence. Many of them began their careers watching its first images come down from Mars. In that way, Opportunity didn't just explore another planet. It inspired a generation to keep exploring. Every mission leaves something behind: data, knowledge, inspiration. But Opportunity left something rarer: a story. On the surface of Mars, Opportunity still sits there, somewhere near the edge of Perseverance Valley, its instruments covered in dust, its wheels half buried in sand. There are no winds strong enough to erase it, no rain to wash it away. It may remain there for millions of years, a silent monument to a brief era of human curiosity. Long after the names of its engineers are forgotten,
opportunity will still rest beneath the Martian sky, a small machine that once looked across a vast world and saw what no human eye had ever seen. We often think of exploration as conquest, as the act of reaching farther, but sometimes it's the act of staying, of enduring, observing, and sending back what you see. That's what opportunity did. Scene 6. From Mars with Love. In the years since its final transmission, Opportunity's data continues to reveal new insights. Scientists still study its photographs, still analyze its mineral readings, still trace the lines of ancient rivers it once crossed. Each discovery builds on the last, just as Opportunity once built on the dreams of missions before it: Viking, Pathfinder, and Sojourner. The chain of discovery continues. Scene 7. A message across time. When NASA officially ended the mission on February 13, 2019, it wasn't framed as a failure, but as a celebration. 15 years on another planet. 15 years of triumph, data, and wonder. NASA's final message to the world was simple: you made every day on Mars an opportunity. For those who had guided it, there was pride and grief. One engineer described it best: we built a robot that became a storyteller. There is something poetic about Opportunity's final moment. A world so far from home, so cold and empty, became the resting place of a machine that once bridged two planets. Its silence is not an ending, but an echo, a pause between chapters in humanity's search for life among the stars. Every explorer that follows, curiosity, perseverance, and those yet to come, will trace their path through Opportunity's tracks. It showed us that even a small machine, armed only with sunlight and persistence, can change how we see an entire world. This was Opportunity's message, and it still echoes across the red world it called home.